Hello, my name is Xiang, and I'll be presenting on my Python project regarding driver performance and trip duration. So as seen here, the scenario entails the user entering a vehicle type and receiving actionable insights on the queried vehicle type with regards to driver performance and trip duration. To start off, we have to start by retrieving the data from the CSV file. To do so, we first do import CSV and key in the file name. To make the file loading code here reusable by the company, we will define it under the function load_data, which will detect if the dataset file can be found or whether it is empty. If found, the csv.digReader function here will then read a CSV file row by row as a dictionary, with the column headers becoming their respective dictionary keys. Next, we can then move on to coding the main command. So for this project, we'll be putting all the code for analysis under the defined function insights. After adding the load_data function, which we previously set up, we will then check for vehicle types in the dataset and create a list of all the available vehicles by appending each distinct vehicle type to a list. With that, we can then move on to printing the user interface, which will include the company name and the program name. So here, we will use a while loop to allow for the user to continuously provide input to check for different vehicles. Under this loop, we use the input command to get the chosen vehicle. The if command here makes it so that this loop will terminate only if the user enters a blank input. Below that, we check for a valid vehicle using a for loop. The dot lower portion here actually makes it so that the vehicles can be matched even if the user enters a different capitalization. Lastly, we also have to create an if block for if the user input is invalid. The continue command will then prompt the while loop to repeat itself here. So this is a sample of what the user interface will look like. Next up, we also have to set up the variables for our analysis. So for this scenario, we'll be using the count, the total ratings, and the number of high and low ratings for each duration category. This will allow us to calculate all the data that we will be displaying. To set these up, we will continue under the while loop and create empty lists for each variable. Next, we will then categorize and group the data into short, medium, and long trips. To do this, we create another for loop to check if the vehicle in each row of data in the data set matches the user input. We then extract the trip duration and the driver rating from the data set and use conditional statements to categorize the data respectively, appending the relevant list that we set up previously. We then calculate each variable that will be displayed in our output with the respective formulas shown here. So this slide here shows the calculation commands for short trips, and the same calculation commands are then repeated for medium and long trips using the if, elif, else conditional statements. With that, we can then print out the table using the commands shown here, and this will be the resulting output. Next, as per requirement 5 in the project brief, we also have an additional value-add analysis to analyze the percentage distribution of high and low ratings for each trip duration category using the previously calculated percentage variables. Lastly, we also have our summary of insights mentioned in requirement 3. So for this, we will display the trip duration with the highest and lowest average rating, as well as the trip duration with the highest number of trips. Furthermore, we will also display whether the average driver ratings increase with, decrease with, are not affected by increasing trip duration. This trend here will hopefully provide greater insight for our user. Lastly, with the code set up, we'll then call the insights function to run the code. And with that, this will be the final output. The code prompts the user and provides relevant data only upon valid input. It will then continuously prompt the user for new vehicle inputs until a blank input is given. Overall, these are the key topics that came in useful when setting up this code. I've gained many takeaways from this project that is relevant to the business world. For one, I've learned about the usage of nested loops where one loop runs inside another. 2, I've also learned about how to categorize data using the if, elif, and else statements. Thirdly, I learned about how to read and process CSV files using the csv.digReader command. And lastly, I also learned about the importance of creating backups for your code, as during this project, I had accidentally deleted my code at some points. So with that, I've come to the end of my presentation. Thank you.